Hey guys, so I did notice a comment asking me to compare here the X family, the latest phones from Sony. So I wanted to do a quick little size and features comparison here between the X Compact, the X Performance, and the XA Ultra, which you can see it's kind of like Papa Bear, like Mama Bear, and the child here on the table. So basically we can start off here with the X Compact, the newest phone I've bought from Sony, and this comes with very different design actually from what Sony's been doing previously. I think the last Sony phone which came with this design was the Xperia M5, which had a very shiny glossy back here, which does look quite nice when it's clean. It's just that when you start using the phone you can see it does get a little bit grimy here. In comparison, we do have the X Performance, which had like a metallic kind of back here. As you can see, it does hide the fingerprints a lot better and has a very nice classy air of premium to it. It's also 5 inches, which was a little bit of a departure from the 5.2 inches we came to expect with the Xperia Z phones. It's a shame that the actual phone itself was a bit of a disappointment in terms of the features. It didn't really differentiate itself from the preceding Z family, and it was missing vital features like 4K video recording, things like that. So we do also have the XA Ultra here, which is like a phablet kind of phone, which is a bigger version of the XA, which I was going to pick up, but I heard bad things about the battery, so I wasn't really bothered about it. But when I got this, I was really actually excited for unboxing a Sony phone, because it's the first one which actually looks a little bit different here from what Sony's done before. And you can see the most interesting aspect is the zero bezel here on this one. It's quite big, it's 6 inches, so unless you're coming from something like the Nexus 6, you are definitely going to notice the increased heft here. It's got a matte back as well, so that does actually hide the fingerprints a lot better than the X Compact. I think I prefer, out of all of the Sony backs that they've done on phones, the X Performance as well as the frosted back of the Z5 family. I think those are the most a mixture of premium as well as practicality in general. Other things to consider here is the actual thickness of each device. So you can see with the compact phones, they tend to make them a little bit thicker, I've noticed. But I think the X Compact is actually a little bit thinner than the Z5 Compact, which is good, but not as thin as the Z3 and the Z1 Compact, which they were very thin and dainty phones, which I don't know how they managed to fit in so much tech in them, but they did. But they seem to have gone a bit thicker with the X Compact, whereas the X Performance, you can see, is a little bit thinner here. So it looks very nice, in terms of the build, and the XA Ultra feels even thinner, maybe because it's so big. They can spread out the components a little bit better here, so that is quite good. So in terms of the actual weight of each device, I think in terms of the weight, the XA Ultra is actually a remarkably light phone. It feels about as heavy as the X Compact actually, whereas the X Performance is like in the middle. In terms of the actual features of each phone, you'll find that we are missing staple 4K recording ability on all of these, but it should be coming back with the Xperia XZ phone, which should be released I think at the end of the month where I am, so that is a welcome return. But on the on the X Compact, should I say, we are getting the audio enhancements that you do know and love from Sony. So I have been looking into that to see the audio settings here. I think you get a few more settings than you would get with the XA Ultra, which is considered a bit more mid-range. So if we just go into the audio settings, you can see you get all these different things here on the X Compact. So automatic optimization and things like that. So I don't think you get that obviously with the XA Ultra. I'm going mad with all these names. You know, it's hard to remember them all. Also, I don't think we're getting the front stereo speaker on the XA Ultra. It's down here, so you can see you get the S-Force front surround, which I think also you get that on the X Performance here. So that, you know, is quite nice. But in terms of like the other things, like in terms of, you know, the reality effects on the camera, I think they all come with that. So that is quite nice. We just go to the camera here on all of them. So you can see pretty much very similar there. I'll zoom out a little bit on all of them. I think you get time shift video on the more higher end X phones. So Sony's keeping things, you know, quite consistent in terms of the features. Obviously you are going to get more if you do pay more for the higher end kind of phones, but to me it just seems that we don't have much consistency in terms of like the design. You know, things seem to be a little bit, you know, here and there in terms of, you know, what Sony's doing. So now that they just, sometimes they release phones which are glossy, sometimes they release them which are frosted, sometimes they release them when they're brushed. I just like if Sony, you know, made a more consistent kind of design language, and definitely started to implement this kind of design on its high-end phones, you know, going forward. Because I think what I've seen from the XC, it's just basically a rebranded X Performance with 4K and probably a little bit better performance. So yeah, just a quick little comparison here of the you know, Mama Bear, Papa Bear and the son. Hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.